we will be discussing the EOS book, which we started reading this year in the first quarter itself, right? So most of us must have read. When we say an operating system, we always get confused, right? Operating system usually comes in our mind when we talk of computers, laptops, or I mean your mobiles, etc. But what does it mean, like when it comes to an organization, a company, right? So operating system, don't take the word literally over here, but it's like meaning is little different. Like it's basically something, every organization or every company has a method of its own to utilize or organize its day-to-day activities, how like they are getting like their day-to-day activities pushed, or their all the resources used, so that they can produce the necessary output whatever they are intended to produce. So in our case, for example, like since we are a web-based web service providing company, so like we are doing website development, we are doing mobile application developments, etc., right? So that's our output. Let's say there is some shoe factory which is manufacturing shoes and sandals, this kind of things, footwear, various types of footwear. So that's their output, like what they are manufacturing. So how they are doing it, like from getting the raw material of the footwear, designing various types of footwear, then like various people processing that like raw material, all that stuff, like and like from getting that raw material, arranging the finance, like to everything, every activity which gets performed in that company, and this thing, till the end product is produced, like from all those processes, like whatever things, activities are done, those are something what we call like the methods or processes which are used, right? Like by that organization to manage all its human energy. Now it is that system what we call the operating system of that organization or that company. Now imagine that shoe wear manufacturing company is like it's a very huge company. Let's say more than 1,000 employees are working in that company, and they are doing various activities. But the thing is, like like they are, there is no uniform process in that. Everyone is doing things in a different way. They are designing or manufacturing like shoes in their own like way. Let's say we all are employees of that company, and Abhishek is designing, making shoes using his method. Mohan is making shoes using his method. I joined recently 15 days back, and even I have to make shoes. Now I invented my own method, and I'm started uh, doing things with my method now. Like does this happen, like, or I mean, is it feasible to do that way in an organization, or this thing, everyone doing same thing in a different way? No, what that will lead to is inconsistency at various levels, dysfunction in team, everyone feeling frustrated. Why you will say that, why everyone will feel frustrated? Imagine like people who are right now working with Mohan, like tomorrow if Akshata tells, okay, now you go with Abhishek and start making shoes over there, right? So now they will go over there, like they'll see that, okay, I mean, we were working with Mohan and we knew one method of making shoes. Now Abhishek is telling, no, that's not good, do it this way. Now again they have to learn. And this thing, let's say after 2 days, the same people are working with me, and like they are finding, okay, this is another way. Things are changing every day, right? Which clearly shows that there is dysfunction amongst like all of us. There will be more time wasted in getting rid of confusions, learning same thing over and over again, like in different ways, all sort of poor communication, and also the eventual output is what of all these inconsistencies is that basically no one will be able to work satisfactorily. Company will not be able to understand its full potential and produce things like uniformly or quite up to its potential. Basically company or organization will not grow. Now that is where the need of a uniform operating system comes into picture. Like I said, you can't build a great company on multiple operating systems. You need a uniform method of handling all your operations, all your activities in the organization. And that is where you will have best chance of utilizing all your energy or all your potential towards your growth and success. Now when I said yours, it means both organization as well as individual. Okay, so that is the reason why a operating system or a system, you can say, is needed in an organization, uniform system. Now why we chose entrepreneurial operating system, call it EOS, right? So EOS is a very widely known operating system used by small to medium sized organization, and they have done it quite successfully. Basically it's a goal oriented operating system which helps companies achieve their goals more efficiently. And we are a goal oriented organization. A lot of things, like if you observe a lot of things in this book which are mentioned, we already have them. We may not have them in the format in which EOS says, but it's a good thing that we already have a lot of those things. Like now talking from employees point of view, it's best for them as well, since it will give them more of that clarity amongst where they are contributing, why they are contributing, or what is expected from them. These kind of things which are very crucial factors for an individual. Like when you get that sense of satisfaction, or when you get that motivation, to know. I mean, I was yesterday again revising the slides, and I was thinking what example should I give, why it is so. I mean, nothing much came in my mind. I just thought uh, nowadays, like we talk about a lot of this yeah, basic infrastructure in our countries, right? Which we are still developing countries, like we are not in that stronger position. So like a lot of times we go anywhere, we see that there is some road is getting built, or there is some uh, bridge or some other infrastructure is getting built. Now the person who is working over there, like who is poor guy or lady, just lifting some material from here to there, kind of. Now actually if you go and ask them, why you are doing this and all, they'll say that they are doing it for their daily earnings or daily wages, using which they are going to earn and survive. Now that is very much true. But at the same time, uh, I don't know whether it will work or not, but if maybe for some people, but if you actually tell them that what they are contributing into, how they are helping to make others people life, like how it's going to impact the effort what they are putting right now to build that road or that particular thing, is something what is going to make huge difference in the life of people who are living around them. Or it's kind of a national cause what they are doing to build their nation. Or maybe it is something what may not benefit immediately to them, but it is something which may benefit their family or their kids, etc. Every company has six key components, or every organization or whatever you call has six key components based on which it works. Um Now I'll start with issues, process, and traction. The remaining three I will take because a little later, because there are slides prepared for them, And these three ones, issues, process, and traction, I will not be covering them in detail in this PDC, because it's not possible in the given time frame. Okay, so what is issues? Issues, basically issues component is designed to help your organization bring issues to the surface and solve them once for all. Now, like I'm sure many of you may have experienced it, that there are some issues related to maybe your team specific, or a project specific, or a process specific, or it can be organization specific. But those issues, they get talked in lunch rooms and this thing multiple times. But you see that over the period of time, those issues are not resolved, like those are just repeating kind of. So the issues component of EOS has something called as issues list. Now this issues list allows everyone openly and honestly list unresolved issues, and gives the opportunity to get them resolved once and for all. That means the issues should not repeat again. Now where it is done in L10 meetings. I'll talk about it little later. And all of you are responsible actually to make sure that you contribute in like these issue solving and stuff, like so that those don't come back again and they don't get repeated. Okay, then is the process component. The process component creates a high level, a consistent way of doing all the company's operation. These processes can be scaled so that your organization can grow in a manageable way. In other words, when processes for repetitive tasks are uniform, what I mentioned like in the first slide, everyone making footwear or shoes in a different way is not possible, right? There has to be a one standard process in the organization. When processes for repetitive tasks are uniform, you will be spending your energy or your efforts towards more of the other things, which will help you to grow, and not just fighting over like my process is better to make a shoes than Mohan's, or Abhishek's process is better than Akshata's. That will not happen, and our entire energy will be focused towards maybe a lot of other things, or maybe resolving other issues and stuff. Now fortunately, like as I mentioned, that a lot of these processes in our organization, like we have them defined, and we have them in a uniform way. It's not that they are in the best way, maybe they are continuously evolving or improving, but at least we have a lot of these processes, so it will always help us to scale down further when we go. Third one is the traction over here in this second part. Now traction, what is traction? It is about discipline, execution, and accountability. It helps a company clarify and choose the right priorities. The two tools related to this traction component are something which will uh, strengthen this component are rocks and the weekly level 10 meeting. Now you will say, what is rocks? If you remember, rocks are your quarterly goals, what you are choosing, whether it's organizational level goals or your team level goal. But your rocks are the most important things, which if you don't clear, you will not be able to go anywhere further. If you keep on failing in your rocks, ultimately you will not be able to achieve anything as a team, as an individual, or as a organization, right? So rock is the this thing. Your role is to set proper rocks or proper quarterly goals with your manager every quarter, and to complete them on time. Like it's very important, like as a part of traction component. And second, something what I mentioned is the level 10 meeting. And level 10 meeting are the most important things, like for everyone, for every organization, and for every team. Okay, so level 10 meetings are examples in our organization, will be the weekly stakeholders meeting, what we do, where all your leadership team meets and they discuss various things. If I talk of teams, then all of you also attend a level team meeting, which is your weekly week session, now this is the most important meeting for all of us, the week session or the stakeholders meeting, because this is where everything gets discussed related to you, like the issues component. What I mentioned, the issues list is something what needs to be uh, like you know discussed or brought up over here. Now your role or your responsibility is to be engaged actively in these level till meetings, and make sure that you are helping to identify as well as suggest solutions to resolve the issues. It's very important. Don't think that everything will be resolved by your leadership team for you. It doesn't work out that way in any organization. Like if you are expecting that someone will come with magic wand and resolve everything, or will just get business. If let's say business, getting new business is the issue, for your team, don't expect that your leadership team will just come with the magic wand and they will get everything. No, even you will have to put in that effort. So your contribution, your ideas to solve those issues is like the most important thing. Like if in stakeholders meeting, your people, those who are representing your pod over there, if they don't bring in the issues related to your pod or your functional team, then they are not understanding their job or they are not acting responsibly. Like you should hold these people accountable when you are talking to them, whether it's your manager, whether it's your team lead or some project manager. What did you do in last stakeholders meeting? Every week session you should question your leadership team to explain what was discussed in the stakeholders meeting, so actually whether the issues related to your team are they getting represented, because where they are going to get solved. As I mentioned, issues component says the most important part is you resolve these issues once and for all, so that they don't repeat, which is very important. Now if your representative is not doing that for your team, then you should be holding them accountable. Same goes to you people. You should be responsible enough to bring in the topics, issues, like during your weekly week session, and discuss those things, whatever issues you guys are facing. Okay, so these are the three components. I'll stop here with those three components, and let's move to the next slide, where we will discuss a little bit more about vision, people and data. Okay, so Tanvi, let's go to the next slide. Okay, vision, in simple words, I know that most of you might be able to like understand it very clearly. What is a vision? It's like a purpose or a goal, whatever way you call it, right? But when we talk about an organization, or when we talk about a team, or even when we talk of a individual, vision is something what plays a very important role, when you talk of success. If you check any of the legendary successful people or organizations, information, for example, all of these bigger CEOs, CEO of Apple or Microsoft, or any other, even actress or like sports person, all these people, one thing you will notice, like they have a lot of good things, bad things in them. Like this Apple CEO, like Steve Jobs, right? Like you guys must have heard, he was very rude, he was very stubborn, and I mean, when we talk of our core values and this thing, he would have Akshata would have rejected him in the first call itself, right? He would have never got hired in SJ Innovation. Now imagine when I say that, Steve Jobs, former CEO of Apple, would have not even been hired in SJ Innovation. It sounds very funny, right? So point here, what I'm trying to convey is, people may have negative things, people may have, or teams or companies may have negative things and all. But one thing you will observe, that Steve Jobs had a very clear vision in his mind. he knew exactly what he wants to achieve in his life or where he is going, like maybe not his entire life, but at least for a period he knew what he is, like, trying to achieve, which always helped him to keep his focus aligned, keep his resources aligned, to put the efforts in the right direction. Now same thing when it comes to a team or an organization, like, when your vision is clear, when you know which direction you're going, it brings in the alignment, it makes it very clear for you to go over there. What method you choose to achieve that vision is, like, secondary, but at least you know like which direction you're going, and it gives you opportunity to align everyone to walk on the path to achieve that vision, right? Now the most important part over here is, just having a vision doesn't make a difference, or doesn't solve like any of the problem. Having a written clear vision is the most important part over here. I mean, like, imagine, as I gave the shoemaking example earlier, now Mohan knows the vision of SJ Innovation. I know the vision of SJ Innovation. Tanvi knows over here, or Kibriya also knows, right? Or Mohan also knows the vision. uh, all of us knows, but what if there is a different version of vision which is in our mind, everyone? Mohan thinks like, ABC as the vision for SJ Innovation. Mohan thinks like this is, it is BCD, whereas I think it is ACD. Now that's not going to help, right? The vision needs to be clear and it needs to be written. So all of us are, consistently communicated about it. It has to be precisely written so that it can be communicated with consistency at every level to each individual. The VTO tool, one tool which is defined for the vision component in this book, is the VTO tool. Now that helps you, your team, define this vision. I mean, to get this vision clearly written, document, like, and that's how, like, you can actually get it ready for your team. Now, then you can go to next slide. So if you actually remember, in the first quarter, we did a similar activity, right? Now the actual VTO was something which was performed not by you in the quarter one. I'm sure, like, all of you had performed like the activity related to EOS, which was setting that vision for your team and making some goals for 3 years, 1 years, and all, right? Now that's like, not the perfect VTO, but the actual VTO was done by your leadership team back in September 2020, where, when the first offsite meeting took place, there all the leadership team had performed the VTO. So how the actual VTO is, like, defined, I mean, done, is actually there are 8 set of questions. So I've not listed all that thing very clearly, since we already did the activity over here, right? So I have not gone through very detail in that, but basically 8 questions are there, right? Examples like, what are your core values, what is your core focus, what is, like, your 10-year target, what is the marketing strategy, 3 years picture, 1 year picture, then rocks, what are your issues. So all these questions are, like, answered by all your leadership team, and like, those answers are then discussed. Each answer, each one is, like, discussed, argued, and then maybe, like, a consensus is reached. So when your team did all that thing, that time, like, they collaborated and defined the outcome of that VTO as the company's vision document, which we had like already made back in September. Now the activity what you guys did, it's little similar, not exact, So what you did is limited to your department or your team, right? So it was something wherein you tried defining which, okay, kind of a vision or direction for your team or for your pod or for your department, which direction it will be going, like what will be the 3 years plan, like how, what you guys want to achieve in next 3 years. So what will be the subset of it, like for this 1 year. And then like, every quarter accordingly, you can use that vision document and set your goals. Now I don't know, like, whether while setting the quarter two document you guys did this or not, but it's very important that, don't just forget whatever you guys have done in that activity one, because that's very important. Stick to it. Every quarter you need to revisit what plan you have defined for your team, and see, are you guys are on track, the last rocks or the last quarter goals, what you did, if they were like sufficient enough. Accordingly you can make maybe some adjustments, because that's how only you are going to achieve your 1 year's goal, right? Or whatever you guys are targeting. So the very important thing for you to understand from the activity what you have done already is to ensure that you bring in the alignment of your rocks, like for your yearly achievement. Also quarterly visit and see how, like, these goals, if there is any small modification or change is needed towards what you have set your yearly or 3 years plan or anything, like, because things keep on changing. You cannot have a perfect thing defined already, right? So periodic review and rock alignment is the key towards success of achieving any long term goals. So I'll request all of you that if you have already set or contributed towards the like activity one of with you, then please make sure to make use of it going ahead when you are doing your other goals and this thing, like for next quarters and stuff. Especially this quarter, you see with various issues we are already struggling, like a lot of team members are already struggling, a lot of teams are struggling towards like achieving their team goals and all. They are running behind a lot, and there is not much time left, like almost just around a month, 4 weeks remaining. So it may happen that we may need to make some like adjustments in the third quarter goal, and it might be little heavy, right, what we have to push. So whatever way the alignment is and periodic review of the vision and all the related stuff is very important, right? So let's go to the next one, people component. What is the people component? This is also very important, and right now our focus is on this people component. Great organizations are built by having right people in right seat 100% across the organization. Now what is right people mean? Right people basically are the ones who are aligned with the ideology or core values of your organization. So someone like let's say someone who doesn't believe in the, like, core values or this thing, like, so just to explain this quickly, I gave the shoe factory or footwear factories example earlier, right? Now shoes are made using leather, rubber, or those kind of materials. Right now leather is also one of the material. Now imagine someone working in a, like, that shoe factory to make the shoes, who doesn't like to work with the leather, or feels very uncomfortable because of the smell of the leather. Now, like, that something will not work out for that person, right? I mean, that person may not be able to like give the best performance, like, or do their work very comfortably, or this that way. So that may not be the right place for that person to work, like, work. Or if you talk from the organizational point of view, then that may not be the best fit for their organization, that person, right? So it goes both way. So here the right people are the ones who are like, aligned towards your core values and ideology. Right seat. Now getting the right person in the right seat. Now right seat over here is referring to the roles and responsibility where someone can contribute at its best, or individually also they are progressing, and at the same time they are contributing heavily and significantly for their team or their organization as well, right? So you are happy also, and you are productive also. Right seat means something which is referring to this, getting everyone in a role where they are fitting the best. Okay, so the people component focuses on getting right people in the right seat. Move to the next slide, Tanvi. People and structure. So again, I don't want to go too much in deep with this slide, because one thing, what structure, if you have to clarify this slide, the best thing will be we all like greenery, right? We all like trees, or I mean, at least most of us, I feel that when we see like lush green trees, and gardens, a lot of flowers, and well crafted grass around all that, in that garden and all, right? So we all love that. When we see, it's a very nice scenery, very pleasant, and this thing. In the jungles also, it has a lot of trees, it has a lot of beautiful flowers or bushes grass. All those things are there in jungle also. Jungles are beautiful, but they are equally scary as well. You may not be able to continuously live over there. But if you ask, can you, if you are given challenge, can you sit or live in a garden for 8 days, with a tent? I think that will be comparatively easy, and you will prefer doing it, maybe, because at least you will not have any threat or anything, right? So what we need in a company, do we need things like a jungle, wherein things are growing anyhow? There is there are a lot of these bushes or trees and all, which can be harmful, or which can be not very comfortable for us, or something which is more organized, like a garden and this thing. So it's obvious, right, wherein garden is little more comfortable for us. So same thing happens when you bring in the structure. It allows you to solve your problems, make decisions quickly, the communication can be passed properly, and all people who are there in the organization, they also will get help and can provide help all easily. So when structure is there, it helps you to basically scale or grow and do lot of stuff like quite easily with help of fluent communication. If you observe, we already have that structure. In simple 1 minute, I'll explain. If I have to define SJ innovation structure, every person in this organization is like, there are two types of structure, I'll say: functional and projectile. In functional, every person, every team member is associated with three elements. One is your reporting manager, who is responsible for you in this organization, like the person with whom you are doing your one-to-one meeting, or not necessarily, sometime these days even some of the TLs are doing now one-to-one meetings, but your reporting manager is basically responsible for you in this organization, to look after you, to help you grow your career, to plan for you, and also to make sure business wise you are doing okay. Second is your functional team lead, who will help you to excel or plan towards your technical aspect in the organization and your career. And the third person is the local HR, who is associated with you to help you and solve your local office related issues and problems, right? So these three elements are your structural entities, functional structural entities. Whereas projectile, if you talk, then over there the first one comes your project manager or project coordinator, who is in charge of the project on which you are working, who is supposed to get all the problems associated with that project process resolved for you, right? The second entity is the team lead associated with that pod or that project, who is supposed to technically assist in case there is some problem or issues. And the third person is the manager associated with that project or that pod, who is responsible to handle business side of it. That means maybe taking critical decisions like resource, like or finance side of it. All those things are like, or billing recoveries, like client relation, and all this are the manager's responsibility. So in both this format you have our structure pretty much defined. Okay, so that's the structural part, but it's like very important that you have that structure defined in an organization. It helps you, the last line says, it helps you to identify all the available seats in the organization. Seats means don't literally take the seats, it refers to the positions. Okay, move to the next slide, Tanvi. Now, the first activity, there are two activities related to this people component. Like the first one is the accountability chart. Is something what we initiated in the first quarter. We are still doing it. Unfortunately, there is still no clarity in a lot of people's mind. So this is like most important one. We'll be discussing 5 minutes at least for this one. Now, what is accountability chart? Like, it clarifies the roles and responsibility of everyone in the organization. It establishes clear ownership and accountability for everything that must get done in your company. In quarter one, HR team did, one of their goal was to make sure, like, they did this accountability chart kind of. So according to this, what they did was, the every position in our organization, whatever labels or structural labels whatever we have. So for example, intern developer, then comes like your junior developer, then comes your software developer, then senior software developer, then tech lead, then comes your team lead, then development manager, and all. It's a structure in the development department. Same way there is structure for each and every department, right? So whatever these names what I just mentioned, what HR team did, that they got the roles and the responsibilities defined for all of these labels, which we have already, or which we may use like in future. Like for them, they got those responsibilities defined. Now, what was asked to complete their goal, that every person who is doing one-to-one meeting, you guys know that all of you have at least someone associated with you who takes your one-to-one meeting. Now, any person who is taking one-to-one meeting was supposed to discuss with you what current title you are holding. So all the responsibilities which are, or expectations which are associated with that title. So let's say you are working as a junior developer, or you are working as a intern QA, or let's say you are working as a junior business development person, or maybe in HR you are working, whichever team. So whatever responsibilities are associated with that, the manager or whoever is taking one-to-one meeting is supposed to discuss in detail with you and explain you what is the meaning of everything which is defined over there. If there is any confusion and all, it should be clarified for you people. Okay, now what happens is, like, it establishes clear ownership. A lot of time, I mean, I myself, like when I was conveying it to a lot of team members who are reporting to me, it was, even I was not aware that at that position, like, they are expected to do or know that particular thing. So when I conveyed to them, obviously even like they didn't know it kind of. But it's very important, right? When you know that, okay, this is what is expected from me, it doesn't come as a surprise. Like, and you can be prepared, and that's how something what you can achieve. So it's very important. So far, if you are not done, please make sure that like, ask your manager or whoever is taking your one-to-one meeting to get your like accountability or responsibility related to your position defined, or discussed with you people. It's already defined, right? The accountability chart is a dynamic tool that is always evolving. Very important statement, I'll explain you. Now, you'll say that you're talking about HR goal, what we did in quarter one. Now, how does it relate to us, or how does it relate to the activity two, which, like, we started in quarter one and still we are doing it, kind of. So now it just doesn't stop over there, that HR team defined what is, like, expected from every position, like, or every role. But there are a lot of factors which comes into play in your day to day activities, which are beyond, like, the expectations. From what HR team define is something what I will call it as the basic expectations related to your role. And the activity two, what we are doing is where, beyond this basic expectation, we must define, with help of our project manager or team lead and our manager and our team also, in some cases we must get specific expectations defined with respect to our pod, or with respect to the project where we are participating. Or let's say I'm working in like a particular technology, there might be some expectations with respect to that technology, or there might be some expected like, things related to my work shift. A few people, they work in night shift and all, right? So I mean, it cannot be like that you are okay, I was working in day shift, now I'm working in night shift. No, it's obvious there will be some additional expectations, like, because your entire other team will not be available during night shift. Maybe if a client comes and replies, even though you may not be the project manager, we expect you to respond, to that client, at least acknowledge that message and say that, okay, I will ask our project manager or manager to review this further. Or if some new request comes, like, you at least acknowledge it and say that, okay, we are reviewing. Or even if you are not part of maybe that project or this thing, so these kind of expectations can be there, right? So it's very important statement. The accountability chart is a dynamic tool that is always evolving. Now you need to understand that beyond that basic expectations which the HR team got defined for you people, you must get your accountability chart defined with your team, with your pod. It's very important that you have that defined. What will happen is, if you know what is the expectations from you by your manager, or by your like team lead, or by your project manager on a particular project, it will, a lot of times it happens that, like, uh, I mean, I heard this very this thing, like, there are surprises during review, that, oh, I mean, like, I didn't know that I was supposed to do this also, because, or this issue was never conveyed to me, that I'm, like, not, I'm supposed to handle client meetings as well, and I should be communicating, like, in meetings individually. I was not aware. I thought it's something what PM should be doing, and now I'm getting blamed that I'm not doing it, right? But if someone tells you that, for this project you cannot rely on project manager or manager, you also will have to handle the client meetings and all, you are equally responsible. When it is told to you very clearly, expectation is set, at least it will not be surprise. You may not be able to, do it in excellent way immediate basis, but at least you can attempt, you can try and improve, you can put in efforts, right? It gives you an opportunity to improve on things. So that's what is accountability chart activity, getting those things defined for you. Or maybe there is a project, like, wherein you're working like with multiple developers. So what happens over there? What is expected from you? Is it like uh, is it like you have to just work as a developer? I have seen, like, many of them just put, when the document was shared with them, like, write your responsibilities, work on task, do first level testing. I mean, like, okay, this is fine, but this is like, these are expectation that like, you are supposed to work on a task. You cannot just sit idle or just keep on learning. In a company or team, you are expected to learn on a task and give some output, right? Or as a developer, if you are working, it's obvious that we are expecting you to do first level testing. but then you need to identify what beyond that is expected from you on like a particular project or in a particular team where you're working, and try and get that thing defined. So tomorrow, like when anyone questions you, you should be also able to identify whether the expectation was set clearly for you or not. Same way, it's very important for managers, team leads, or senior members that you set those expectations properly for everyone. Sometimes if you don't tell them clearly what is expected, and like we assume, I look at this person, like he is just like doing his work and going like home at 5 o'clock, and not bothered like if any request comes after that. Have we set the expectations, like have we written it down over there, that in it is expected that in rare cases if something comes, like you will also respond from home. Like on there are some cases on some projects wherein sometimes you need that kind of exceptions, right? Like beyond your work times and all that kind of commitment is needed. Now like no, it's better that as a manager or as a team lead, if you have something like that in mind, write it down over there and give that clear instruction to the team member. Hey, my expectation, what I'm setting for you, is to ensure that, like if something comes on this project, even it is beyond your work time, you must attend it, like it is needed. That's what my expectation is, right? So when it is told very clearly, it's obvious that person will attempt to do it. But you cannot just talk behind that person that no, that person is not responding only or not doing anything, right? Now, in my opinion, I've written a very interesting line over here. I will not go in detail of that. If your accountability chart does not have sufficient challenging expectations, then maybe it's not good sign for you. Like, I'm not sure all of you will understand it or not, but if not, read it again. Like, it's not a good sign for you if you do not have sufficient challenging expectations in your accountability chart. Simple words, maybe like you're not either your leadership is not interested in you and they are just ignoring because you are incapable, uh, or you are just not like of any much significance or doesn't make much difference, or they are too busy and they are ignoring whatever, or maybe you're not capable, or whatever can be the reason. You identify yourself. Let's go to the next slide. Can we? Okay. Okay, the people analyzer one we will not go like quick. This is the second one, actually second activity with respect to people's component. And like it will be the fourth activity what like we will be doing, um, like for uh, like your EOS thing. So we'll not go in detail because of shortage of time for now. But the basic thing is the second part of our people component, where it says you need right people in the right seat, right? So now people analyzer is the tool actually which helps you to bring identify right people and bring them in the right seat. The only problem over here, not problem, the dependency is like you must ensure that the activity to what we are doing, which is your accountability chart, is defined properly, is done properly for you. Only then you can do this activity 4 people analyzer. Without activity 2 you will not be able to perform activity 4. And activity 4 will not just be limited for company or team, but it will be, since it's people component, it will be oriented towards individual. So I will request all of you to ensure that get your accountability chart defined properly, because if it is not, then you may not get good results in people analyzer, which may not be very healthy for you. So let's move on, Tanvi. The last one, like which I will discuss, which is the current third activity, next slide, which we have started, is the scorecard, right? The data component, last one. The data component is designed to help you objectively see where you are going, both as an individual or as a company, right? Wrong people in the wrong seat usually resist measurable or scorecard. Remember, something which gets measured will get done. Something which doesn't get measured, there is, like, out of 10 only one or two time may be done, like, but at least eight of the times it will fail, or you will not be able to achieve the purpose. I'll give a simple example, which is even mentioned in that book. So there was this organization, like, where um, a manufacturing organization. They were manufacturing something, like, I can't remember now, but anyways, so a new CEO came in picture, and he saw, like, okay, like, I mean, all the business is going down, not much sales or not much output is getting generated, and this thing. So he tries to identify what is happening. Like, he realizes a lot of issues are there, and there is not much data available to track. So even if, like, he knows that eventually the bank account is not doing very good, but he also needs to know why things are not happening well, right? For that you need data. It will give you insight of why, which things are not working properly or what are not working properly. So one of the things what he identified is, like, we are not able to produce much compared to what capacity we have, and this thing. So he went and asked his, like, day shift worker, okay, so how much of these units we are producing, like, today, or how much did we produce, like, today. So I mean, whoever the supervisor was, he counted and he got back and said that, okay, today we produced, like, 70 units of whatever they were manufacturing. So he just wrote that 70 number on the floor, and they all went home. Night shift people came in the evening, and they saw, like, someone has written 17. So they asked, like, their colleagues, and what is this, why this number is written over here. So they said nothing, like, the new manager, new CEO, he asked, like, how many units, like, we manufactured into, like, today. So like, we had completed 70, so we wrote that. Said, okay, okay, fine, like, and next day when these people came back, there was, like, number written as, 88 over there. So when night shift people read that number, like, so it was not something, like, anything conveyed to them or anything, but they wrote 88 over there. And like, CEO didn't ask anything, but the supervisor realized that, okay, that means the night shift people completed or manufactured 88 units of whatever they were manufacturing, right? So that day when the day shift was leaving, that number was, like, 96. They changed that number to 96 and wrote on that floor, same floor. When the night shift team came, they saw 96. Next day when like, they left, they early morning, they wrote the number 110 over there. Now the point here is, I'm not saying like, a competition was generated or whatever this thing. The thing is, the impact of visibility of data. When you start counting, things start happening. That's what the message I'm trying to pass. Like, that's what the impact of data is. Now in this activity, or of scorecard or measurable, what basically we are trying to do, or we are going to do is, like, set up measurable, set up a scoreboard will be set up at two levels, one organizational and one at the team level as well, right? So a typical company scorecard should have around 5 to 15 numbers that your leadership team reviews every week in your L10, that stakeholder meeting. And department scorecard will be usually having 3 to 5 numbers that you should review weekly in your level 10, that is your weekly week session. Now you will say that we already review, or we do biz review, we check all the numbers, like our utilization, hub stuff record, or various things, whatever you guys are checking right now. Yeah, that's fine, it's a kind of scoreboard. But what we feel is, we need to improve this scoreboard. It cannot be just a standard scoreboard which is same for all the teams. No, we need to, what basically EOS says is, you need to define your own scoreboard. It should be something what is like, suitable, more suitable for your team, something using which you can actually measure success or failure of your team, whether you are moving towards success, or whether you're like, failing. Until unless you will not be able to get that sense, that scoreboard is of no meaning, frankly speaking. Just after this like PDC, just sit for 1 minute and think, can you relate to the points what you guys review in your week session? I mean you just understanding is not relating. Does it matter to you what points are getting discussed in that week session, what values you are reviewing? Like if you cannot, if all those values doesn't matter to you, that means like that scoreboard is not suitable for you. Now that's where the EOS comes in picture, and it says like you need to identify what are the things using which you feel you can measure the success or failure of your team, and try and define your scoreboard using that. Now I hope you understood. Now, when you're defining the scoreboard, can we just scroll down a little bit? The last line is getting cut. The most important point is no, the first this thing. Uh, the most important thing is the leading indicators. Now, your scoreboard is something what you have to define using the lead indicators. The numbers on scorecard most often are activity based lead indicators. I hope you guys remember lag and lead measures from the 4DX things, wherein uh, you know these lead indicators are something which will help you to measure some activity which will produce a future result. These are the actions which will help you to measure the progress. So a simple example for it will be, let's say like I have to reduce 10 kg weight, right? Now if I'm saying that let me put in my scorecard that my target is to reduce my weight from 80 to 70, right? And I'm just trying to check every week along with all of you how much weight I have reduced. No, so that's wrong thing. Now, what EOS says is identify the lead indicators. That means I know that my success will be measured, or my team's success will be measured based on whether I lost weight or not. But to do that, I have to identify lead measures and put that in my scorecard. So what can be the lead measures or those actions? So for example, if I am running for 5 kilometers every day or not, I have set up action for myself to reduce my weight. What are the actions I am taking? Running 5 kilometers every day, eating good diet food, or maybe doing something else kind of. So in my scorecard, I can put running 5 kilometers every day. Like that can be one of the parameter in my scorecard. So I will not actually measure my weight, but I will decide my success whether I'm running 5 kilometers every day or not. If I see I'm not doing it consistently, I know, or the team knows that I'm not going to win, or I'm not on the success path, right? So that's what is important, that when we are defining the scorecard, we identify and focus on the lead indicators which will give us the future result, not put not to put lag measures over there. So a lot of even in the last stakeholders there was confusion. A lot of these members, they were trying to relate the quarterly goals with the these things, like there was confusion, that they were saying that okay, I mean we already have quarterly goals which are set up and all. No, quarterly goal is a different thing, and your scorecard for your team is a totally different thing. It's something what you have to think, how you're going to measure success in the longer run for your team, and based on that you will have to identify what are the things you are going to define. See this chart which is put over there, right? The first column says who, that is who is responsible for them. So very important when you are defining your scorecard, that you have a person responsible for the measurable, like to whom you can hold accountable to get that data updated, right? Then defining that specific lead indicator, and then setting in the goal column is the target what you are setting. Those things needs to be set over there. And ideally EOS says that when it is displayed, in the like screen, it should display at least 13 weeks of data. Why 13 weeks of data? 13 weeks of data can show you trend, proper trend, whether you're going upwards, downwards, or this thing and all. The short term ups and downs sometimes can be misleading if you are just seeing data of like 4 weeks, 6 weeks and all. So 13 weeks is more ideal time to analyze your data. A scorecard, just setting up the scorecard doesn't mean it's done. It requires hard work, discipline and consistency to manage. That's why I said it's very important that you have a person responsible for every. It cannot be like, I've seen this tendency like right now also in the biz reviews. We expect that the project managers are supposed to do everything, or they are because they are hosting or wig meeting, they are the ones responsible for everything. But that's a wrong thing. Like it cannot be like that. It requires contribution from everyone. Everyone has to be responsible. Each person in the team should have a measurable or a number for which they are accountable. They should be associated with some number, responsible for something. That's when you will get the contribution from everyone, and you will see instant result. Because the truth is, what get measured get done, as I mentioned earlier, right? So when you are setting up the scoreboard, please make sure that even if you as an individual may not have something directly assigned to you as teams measurable, but maybe at individual level you should have something as a part of your goals and all. Okay. I know like this one this session went little too over time. The previous PDC we were able to wrap up in 1 hour, but this thing. So that's the current third activity, which also I have instructed all the stakeholders and PM team to get initiated for your team. So please make sure when you're contributing, ask yourself, how can I measure success of my team? What are the factors which will make me feel identify whether my team is achieving success or it's failing. Try to identify those things from your side. I've told them also, take make every individual in your team contribute, make every individual of your team give ideas like for these scorecards.